Nathan gave you my phone number because he was here doing some tree work, and he just mentioned that other people had sightings around here, and he said, have you seen anything? And I was like, oh my God, I had seen something. And this would have been maybe 18 months to 2 years ago, and you called me, and I was at work, and I was going to call you back, but then Corey kind of convinced me I must be a bit crazy, and it must have been the fox or something. But then
he saw it.
And much closer for much longer. So I'm going to put you on to him, and he can tell you what he saw anyway.
All right, no worries. Thanks very much.
G'day, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm going good, buddy. How you going?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad.
When and what? Tell me all about it.
Okay, yesterday morning I leave for work normally about 6 o'clock, but it was about 6 o'clock yesterday morning, just after the sun had come up, and I saw a couple of animals running around, which is not uncommon for this area, but and I've been in a rural area like all of my life, so I know foxes, I know dogs, I know cats, I know all that sort of thing, and I had to have a pretty good look at these ones.
Yep.
So what there was one adult and 2 juveniles.
Yep.
The other thing that really brought me to my attention was the tail on them.
Yep.
It was like a broomstick tail, if you know what I mean. So very stiff tail, and also the screech.
What would you describe the screech like?
We live with koalas. Probably heard the screech before, but just put it down to baby koalas, you know what I mean? But this was more of a high pitch and more of a solid, constant squeal.
Okay. Did it kind of sound like a bird?
No.
Okay.
Well, as a bird, but yeah, but the squeal of it was like more constant, like with the koalas you get the
Yeah, they got a really deep sound most of the time.
Yeah, a consistent squeal, and that was from the adults. So there was 2 juveniles running around. Well, I assume there was 2 juveniles running around. There was 3 of them probably within 15 metres away from me. The one thing that I was struggling to decipher was what sort of animal it was, because it had that really long pointy nose.
Yep.
Had, like the juveniles did, they had that long pointy nose. They were very quick on their feet. They had the broomstick handle, like tail, like I said, which was solid and straight out the back.
Yep.
And in coloration, the juveniles had like dark spots from their front quarter down to their hind.
Spots?
No, like dark colouring.
Right, but you said spots.
No, like dark colouring from their front quarter.
Yep.
Their hind.
Okay, but it wasn't stripes.
The adult had stripes.
Okay, so they were just kind of, would you say, blotchy in the darkness?
Yes.
Okay. And what colour was the rest of the coat? Could you tell?
Well, it was, yeah. It definitely wasn't a fox. I know foxes, but it was a very dark browny sort of colour.
Okay. Yep.
Not like a fawn sort of colour, like not real dark brown.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yep.
And then it had like its coloration over its back was a lot darker than the rest of the coloration of the animal.
Okay. Can you tell me like how dark or light the morning was, like at 6 a.m? Because I haven't been in South Australia for a while. How light is it at 6 a.m?
It was right on the crest of sunset.
Sunrise or sunset?
Sunrise, sorry. Yeah,
sunrise. Okay.
Yeah.
So it was around 6 a.m, yeah?
Yep. It was, yeah, spot on 6 a.m. actually.
Okay.
Because I leave for work about 6:10, so yeah, it was just before that. So I stood there and watched them for about 5 minutes.
And you didn't get your phone out and take a photo of them?
My phone was on charge, and I was like too frightened to move around. But yeah, so the phone's ready to go next time if I do get to see him. But it was the high pitched screech that really got me my attention.
Of the mother?
Yes.
Now you're saying she had a long pointed face, the mother?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Like a dingo, but a bit of a pointier snout.
Okay. And was it just you who saw it? No one else was with you?
No, that's correct. Yep.
Okay. Well, that's a pretty solid sighting.
Oh, absolutely, man. I swear to it, by God, because I've like lived in the bush and I've been around, and these things actually like. I'll probably spend a little bit longer looking at them, going like, "What the hell is it? Is it a fox? No, that's not a fox. Is it a dog? No, it's not a dog. Is it a feral cats? Because we get feral cats around here too, you know." And it was like, it was just the one thing that really threw me was the tail on them.
Yeah.
A really solid stiff.
So how tall and how long would you say the mother was?
How tall? Well, my dog passed away recently, and I'd say it would be around a little bit smaller than the dog was, and he was about 45 kilos. So I would say that the mother would be around 40 kilos in weight and structure.
Okay. So if you had to compare her build and her size to a breed of dog, what dog would you compare it to?
Oh, it's pretty hard to say. I mean, the closest thing I've seen that would resemble that would be a dingo, as such.
Okay.
Because the legs were very skinny. The snout was profound. Its neck was a little bit longer than what you would normally perceive in a dog.
Yep.
And the tail was very pointed, but it was more of the coat on the adult. That was striped, but with the juveniles, they were just sort of a little bit fluffy around the back hind, and darker in colour in that sort of sense. But they were bloody quick too. That was the other thing with the juveniles. Like with their agility, because one of them ran off to the right, the other one ran back to the left. But yeah, with the one that ran off to the right, I followed that one for a little while, and it came back and did another loop. But just the agility of it was pretty phenomenal, really.
Did you notice anything else unusual about them that stood out to you at the time?
Well, like I said, just basically the agility of the young juveniles.
Okay.
So yeah, I only got to spend a couple of minutes watching them, but yeah, and you know, like I said, I was thrown back at the start because
well, you didn't really believe your wife when she said she'd said something real, didn't you?
No way. But then when I saw them and I could hear that high-pitched squeal.
Yep.
Which I've actually heard before, but I basically labelled it down to, like, you know, female koalas when the males. But it was different to that. It was more high-pitched and a more of a constant raw squeal, you know what I mean?
Yep. We've got a video on our YouTube channel.
Yep.
With a few recordings on it of different noises.
Yep.
And I might see if I can get the link to you and you can have a listen to it.
Absolutely, mate. That'd be awesome. I believe where we're situated, there's...
Well, it's just that I've seen it too a few years ago.
Yeah, so I believe there might actually be a den around the area or something like that.
Well, we won't say whereabouts in the hills you are, but you're in the Adelaide Hills.
Yes.
You're in an area where there is quite a few large remnant patches of bush and, stringy bark forest and stuff. I know the area well.
Yeah.
Your wife's also got her sighting. Do you think she'll come on the phone and have a chat to me quickly about hers now as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Yep.
All right, mate. Well, look, I really appreciate you coming forward with your information, and if you got your phone handy, it sure would be handy.
Oh, look, mate. Yeah, my phone's sitting right alongside of me. It was this morning.
Yeah.
But I don't believe this was just an isolated incident. But I can guarantee you, I saw exactly what I saw, and that is exactly what I saw.
Yeah.
So I'm a believer.
Yep. No, that's fair enough, mate. It's a convert that's always interesting to talk to,
Yeah. Look, now, is there any other things that we can do? Like, should we get up maybe some cameras or something like that? Or
well, if you're happy to allow it, I can have someone come up there and put a couple of cameras there.
like, I'm quite willing to pay for all that too.
Well, we have a camera sponsorship program on our website.
Okay.
And it's $120 a year.
Yep.
And when I bring the cameras in, or whoever brings the cameras in, we check them every few months. Then we email the person who sponsored the camera the photos as well, and they can have a look.
Well, I'm all for that, because this is actually quite fascinating for us.
All right, mate. Well, look,
daughter, like that. But if we can sort something like that, like something out like that,
I'd take that as a gift and say thank you for being so kind to even offer to sponsor one. But I can make sure that we could get at least probably 2 there on your property.
Well, look, let's put it this way. We're quite happy to pay for it as a gift for what you're actually trying to do for the species.
Excellent, man. That's great. That's awesome. I really appreciate it. That's very kind of you.
No, I mean, like, it's fascinating for me and for Emily and our daughter as well.
Yep.
So it's something that we're very keen on doing.
All right. Well, look, we'll get some. What I'll do is I'll get Emily to text me your address.
Yep.
And then I've got a guy who lives out at Williston who's as mad keen as me, and he finds some awesome stuff. He's got a few good things going on as far as helping us out with cameras.
Yeah.
I'll get him to bring at least 1, possibly 2 cameras to your place when he does a rotation. How often are you hearing the noises, roughly?
Well, after I actually had the sighting yesterday, I've probably heard the noises a few more times than what I actually realised. I just normally put it down to the baby koalas, when the males are sort of trying to mate with them, and it's like just the squeal.
Yep.
After I actually witnessed it yesterday, and I could actually pinpoint it down to that animal, I've probably heard it a little bit more than what I actually really saw.
Yeah, sure.
So,
well, what day was it that you saw them?
Yesterday morning.
Yesterday morning. Awesome.
Yeah, all right. So I'll put you on to Emily. And
yeah,
she
mate.
can talk about it.
All right, good work. Thanks very much.
Hey, thanks for your help. All right, cheers.
No worries. Cheers.
Hi, it's Emily.
How are you, mate?
Good.
So I never really got to talk at length with you about your sighting because I remember you were busy and I didn't end up getting back to you for whatever reason. So, you want to refresh my memory?
Well, mine had happened. I had seen something and I'd said to Corey, so I was standing on our back deck too, and just across the dam there's a steep hill paddock, and there was something there and I was sitting there looking at it for, I don't know, maybe a minute, and I went inside to get my phone, and just as I came out it was just kind of was moving off, so I didn't get a picture of it, but I was looking at it and like, what is that? Because it definitely wasn't a dog. It definitely wasn't a cat. Like, there's no way it was a cat. It had like a pointy snout. The closest thing I could say was a dingo. But it had like a really long tail, like long, straight, pointy tail. And I was probably about 100 metres away, and it would have been, I think it was in the evening that I was out there. So, kind of, dusk.
Okay.
So,
and how long ago?
This would have been, I think, about 3 years ago. that I saw it. And then we had a guy come and do some tree lopping for us here, and he had just said to me, look, a lot of people have reported stuff around your area. You haven't seen anything weird? And I was like, oh my God, yes, because I'd mentioned it to Corey, and he said, oh no, it must be like a big fox. And I'd actually said to the neighbours, I said, I saw this massive fox on your property. Like, I think it must have been a fox, but it was huge, and because I've got ducks.
Yep.
Yeah, but when I was looking at it, it's like it wasn't a fox. The tail was all wrong. It was more dog-looking, like it was way too big, like, you know, for a fox as well. It was really big, and then the guy that was here doing the tree lopping, he said, have you heard any weird noises? And I said, oh, look, there's this squealing, and like koalas tend to, like the female koalas and the babies and that, they tend to kind of go, it's not a long drawn out squeal, whereas this has been more like and I sleep with my window open every night, so I hear the noises a bit more, but it was like a really long drawn out wail. We do have a dam, and we have some water birds down on the dam that make that's what I put it down to first, and then I kind of thought, well, no, maybe it's koalas, but it was something in between, like a wail of a water bird and a koala. It wasn't quite right, and I'd heard that around that time. I haven't heard it as much, like up until recently. I have noticed, and my daughter has noticed, in fact, she's called me into her room. It's like, what's that noise? And I said, oh, I think that's just the koalas, but it has been that more drawn out one again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's...
So you've definitely heard it more than once.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I hadn't noticed it, because I'd kind of convinced myself I must have seen a really big fox or something, because I'd said to Corey, and he's like, nah, you're nuts, you know. So, and I hadn't thought about it. And then when he said to me yesterday, he got home from work and he told me what happened, and I was just like, oh my God, that's what I saw. And yeah, so we jumped onto, we Googled some photos of thylacines, and I showed Corey, and he's like, yeah, that's what I saw. And I said, yeah, that's like what I thought I saw too. So it was, but yeah, mine's a few years back, and mine was a longer distance, and I didn't see, like it was too far away and too close to dusk to pick out like the stripes.
Sure.
Yeah.
They're not always reported with having stripes anyway, but I think when you look at some of the old films and Benjamin turns on certain angles, you can see the stripes disappear anyway.
Yeah.
So,
but it was definitely summer then too, because I remember it was like the grass was brown and it was quite
warm.
Blending with the grass as well.
Yeah. The animal you said was really big, so that may have been the male, perhaps. Because the females are generally smaller than the males by a little bit. Yep.
Well, it was way too big for a fox or a feral cat, and it was just wrong. It didn't look. It had pointy ears. It had a pointy snout. It was skinny. If anything, it looked like a dingo with a crazy long tail, sort of. But skinnier and just not quite right.
Yeah, but actually quite tall and large.
Yeah.
Big enough for you to see from 100 metres without a doubt, and still know it wasn't a fox.
Yeah, and about dingo size, I thought as well. So there's dingoes, we've got a wildlife place not far from here, and they do have a couple of captive rescue dingoes there, and yeah, probably similar in size, I would say, to a dingo.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's a fair amount of detail from that distance, so that's excellent.
Because I was just sitting there, oh my God, what is it? You know, and I couldn't pick it. And then I went inside to get my camera, and yeah, it was just then moving off, and it was kind of like, it definitely, because I was like, is it a big feral cat? But it kind of wasn't right the way it was moving either, and the tail was all wrong. It was like sticking out straight. So,
do you have any dogs or horses?
We did have a dog then.
Did you recall many nights when the dog would go right off and not settle?
The dog is inside, but we do have some cats, and the cats have been freaking out recently, and they won't go outside at all. So, and
I reckon one of them had a fight.
yeah, Corey thought he heard one of the cats being attacked actually the other day. So
I thought it was the koala.
yeah, he thought the koala and the cat were having a fight, and he said that. So that was a couple of days ago. He came and said, I think
about last week.
Yeah, that the koala sounded like the koala was attacking the cat or something. So
yeah, I've got several reports of thylacines eating fowls, of ducks and chickens, and also they'll attack calves as well when they take the pituitary glands up under the armpits.
Oh, really?
They do some weird stuff. They peel back the skin and eat certain parts of the animal. They're really particular feeders sometimes. They do some weird stuff.
Okay, because the neighbours, whose property that I had my sighting, they've lost lots of their ducks lately. So
yeah, well, they're probably getting picked off by one of these things.
Yeah, and I've also noticed that we haven't had, we usually have wild ducks on our dam as well, and there hasn't been any much at all lately. So, yeah, they usually come up like at night time when I put the sprinklers on the lawn. They all come up from the dam and hang out on the lawn, and they haven't been around. There's been no ducks around at all. So,
yeah, right.
Just being a mum here, if this were thylacines, like you have an 8-year-old daughter, is she safe, outside at night and stuff?
I think she'll be fine. Is she an active, outdoorsy kid that's pretty bouncy and turbulent and does their stuff?
Absolutely, yep.
Well, she should be fine. She knows which way's up and down and what's dangerous and what's not. She's bush trained.
Yep, she's good. Yeah, she's got just right where Corey saw them is right where her kind of little gym set is and stuff like that. So, and she's got a...
That's pretty damn close to home.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they clearly feel comfortable in your area if they're getting that close to your house. I mean, that's pretty by chance. Corey's sighting is just, it's too good.
Well, just over the other side of the dam. So our dam is pretty close up to our house, and it's just a little dam. But just over the other side, it goes into a gully of absolutely thick scrub. And
which direction does that scrub head? West?
It heads down. It'd be southwest.
Okay, yep. Heading back towards that other massive patch of bush in the area that we all know.
Yeah.
There, that's a great spot. I've got a lot of information about that area too.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, well, look, that's really great. Thanks very much for your time and your generosity. It's really great to have that sort of support. I'm a South Australian born and bred, so I know the area well where you are, so rest assured we'll get onto it and hopefully we can get lucky.
Yeah, thanks, Neil. Okay, well, I'll text through our details to you.
All right, thanks very much, Emily.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.